So at geoship, we're building affordable natural homes for the climate era. Everybody realizes that home construction is broken. It's actually worse than broken. This is an industry that's been moving backwards. In the last 50 years, it costs 4 times as much to build a home, and it takes twice as long. And we're all feeling that problem right now in our ability to afford homes. Um, and when I joined GeoShip, we developed a theory of change. And our theory of change was that there must be 5 critical problems that all need to be addressed to create transformational change in this industry, much like Tesla created for the automotive industry. The first problem is sustainability. Over 27% of global carbon emissions comes directly from housing. And that's more than transportation on a global level. It's just not talked about as much as transportation. So there's a huge carbon problem with housing. Next up is resiliency, and our hearts goes out to everybody in North Carolina, everybody in Florida dealing with these recent hurricane disasters, and the one that's about to make landfall on Wednesday. We're truly witnessing climate change starting to destroy our housing stock all over the world. We're seeing billion-dollar disaster events sometimes on a weekly basis. And what used to be a big disaster event, now we're seeing disaster events that are 10x as disastrous. And this is just going to keep happening in the world that we're in. So we really need to build housing stock that's resilient to climate change. The next issue, which is probably the biggest issue that all of you and what we've seen our customer surveyed are most concerned about, is the affordability crisis. So 70% of Americans under 35 could just not afford a home anymore. In California, this number is closer to 90%. And these are people with children that want the security of knowing where they're going to be living the next year, but they don't have that. And to me, that makes me really sad because when I was fresh out of college and a lot of my friends had decent jobs, they weren't like really amazing jobs, but even just a halfway decent job could afford a home. And that just doesn't exist anymore. So the affordability of home has just gotten completely out of whack. And next, there's a hidden health epidemic in homes that a lot of people don't even realize. So we have over 800 toxic chemicals found in common construction materials, and almost 50% of homes will test positive for black mold. So these things are leading to chronic diseases and are making, your home that you spend the most time in is one of the things that is contributing to the rise of chronic disease. And then the last problem here is scalability. We have an extreme shortage in construction workers across the US and frankly across the world. The average age of a construction worker is increasing every decade, which means more of them are retiring and we have less and less of them, but we need more and more homes. And this has led us to be short over 4 million homes in the US. And every year that number is just getting bigger and worse. So any solution needs to solve the scalability challenge. So it was really interesting when I joined the team and we developed this theory for change. And we started seeing like, wow, there's so many people out here trying to solve this problem. And, there's people doing modular homes built in factories. There's people doing 3D printed homes. And there's a few other players starting to develop that are doing panelized homes, which is the category we place ourselves in. And I was thinking, surely some of these people must have figured it out. But as we start going deeper into each of these companies, what we realize is there are like billion-dollar companies at the heads of these categories of panelized 3D printing and modular, and none of them are solving more than 2 of these problems. They're all making trade-offs. They're building faster, cheaper homes that are less healthy and less sustainable, which is like stepping on the gas while you're heading for the cliff. So our technology actually radically addresses all 5 of these categories at a far lower cost than any of them. And I mean, that to me, just like that one fact is just mind blowing. And that's what allows us to have an Earth shot that's so ambitious. And that Earth shot is to make the very best home on Earth the most affordable home on Earth. So, what would the world look like if you can create a home that's 10 times better? A home with abundant natural light, open floor plans, high ceilings. Our go-to market product is going to have 26-foot ceilings. These windows you see in front of you are 9-foot tall windows. This is a beautiful, gorgeous home with a custom feel. The walls, they feel like beautiful stone. It's just a remarkable home to be in. And for those of you on this call that have been to our prototype, I know I saw a couple of you on the list that have, like, you know it, you've experienced it. Um, this is a home that's radically sustainable, has an 85% reduction in CO2 emissions. That's not just in the CO2 emissions from building the home, but it's also the operational carbon impact of the home, of like running your heating and air conditioning. All that's going to be 85% more efficient too. No other home building technology can even come close to that level of carbon avoidance. Over time, we're going to find ways to get this home down to a zero carbon impact. And these ceramic walls are filled with a 10-inch insulation cavity of the same bioceramic material. And because the dome has less surface area, it's just extraordinarily energy efficient. So this is a home that radically addresses the carbon crisis. It's like better and as good and better than some of the best homes out there currently in terms of efficiency. It's a climate resilient home. The ceramic composites we're building our homes with, they will not burn, they will not rot, they will not corrode. If the home gets immersed in water, if it's a flood disaster, if a pipe breaks, it would simply dry out. And the geodesic form factor is the very most hurricane and earthquake resilient structure you can build. It's because it's aerodynamic and the triangulated sphere perfectly distributes stress around the home. So it is a home that has more climate resiliency than any other home on the market. On top of that, it's next level healthy. The structure is 100% non-toxic and mold-proof. Bioceramics have antibacterial properties, and this home is like, it's biocompatible and it has these biomimetic properties. Do you see square boxes in nature? Do we go out in nature and see big rectangles everywhere? No, we see beautiful circular patterns everywhere. And being inside a circular home actually creates a quality of energy that contributes to your well-being. Not only that, the materials are just, they're 100% non-toxic. Like I said, they're the same minerals you find in human bone. So you can literally grind up these panels, consume these ingredients, and it's like taking a supplement you would buy at a store. So, to make your entire home out of that material is going to create next level health effects for the inhabitants. This is a home that has game-changing affordability. So not only are we getting a 10 times better home in all these categories, we're going to be delivering a home that's less than half the price of a conventional build with higher margins. And over time, we're going to keep reducing our costs. So we have a roadmap to affordability. Right now, our prices are based on California pricing, which there's a lot of regulatory things that once we clear them, the pricing will get even lower, and we don't have to put things like fire sprinklers in a home, et cetera, et cetera. And then as we get into other markets that are even less expensive to deliver to, we're going to lower our price even more. And as we get to our scale, we're going to lower price even more. So it's already affordable relative to other options when we get to market. And then we're going to keep making it more and more affordable as we grow. And this is a home that's massively scalable. So we've optimized the home from physics first principles, looking at the materials, the geometry, and the method of manufacturing. And when you bypass all the traditional supply chains for construction materials by injection molding these bioceramic parts that go together like Legos, you create a radically more efficient home to build. We're projecting that a team of 6 people can install a 1,600 square foot home in under 4 weeks. And this is right after our launch. And then over time, we're going to get that number down to 3 weeks and 2 weeks and even further. On the factory side, we're going to be able to produce 10 to 80 times more home per cubic foot of factory space than a lot of our other competitors that have billion-dollar valuations, and you see it on that other slide. So imagine, it's like we need a 200,000 square foot factory, and that competitor needs like a 40 million square foot factory. Like it's insane, insane the order of magnitude more efficient we are, because in our factory we're literally just injection molding the panels, getting all the parts put into shipping and then sent to the site, and all the assembly happens on site. So we don't need a lot of factory space. And it's through driving all this complexity into engineering and manufacturing that we're enabled to have very efficient build times on site. So the first principles nature of this, it all starts with the geometry. The geodesic dome is the strongest, lightest, and most efficient means of closing space known to man. And this was said by the American Institute of Architects. Buckminster Fuller was a pioneer in bringing geodesic dome, the awareness of them to the masses. It has half the surface area, twice as much energy efficiency than a rectilinear home just through its shape. And the free span structural shell requires no cross beams. So, there was something written about by Bucky's friends that he had actually said that this breakthrough in geometry was waiting for a breakthrough in material science that he didn't think was going to happen for another 50 to 100 years. And luckily, our founders, Morgan and Boss, they found this breakthrough. This breakthrough is chemically bonded ceramics. This is an entirely new family of materials that were developed at US National Labs during an 11-year R&D project. They were developed for the nuclear industry to store nuclear waste. They're now revolutionizing the steel coatings industry. They're changing the way we repair roads, bridges, skyscrapers. And we are the first company that has figured out a way to injection mold these materials into structural components. And that is like the core of our IP, of our competitive advantage here, that we have found the perfect material to marry with the geodesic form factor to create this revolution in housing. And if you look at, this slide, how strong this material is relative to a concrete, it is insanely stronger, and it also actually demolds much, much faster, and it looks and feels 10 times better than concrete. So it's like you get all these benefits, but we're still creating these beautiful parts that turn into beautiful homes for like just twice the cost of like a $2 concrete block that you buy at like Lowe's or Home Depot. And you assemble 500 of those blocks into a home, and all of a sudden, voila, you got a shell of a home. So it's it's when you really start to go layers deeper here and you realize how that changes everything. This one material replaces the wood beams, the insulation, the vapor barrier, the exterior siding, the interior drywall, the mudding, the texturing, the painting, the finish work, the roof, the gutters. All of those things go away when we build a home with our bioceramic composite because it replaces all those materials, and it does so very inexpensively. So when I shared about when I met this team and I had my all-in moment, like one of the key reasons I joined this team was because of how scrappy they were and how much they were able to do with such little amount of money. At the time I joined the team, they had spent less than $2 million to date. They had built this amazing R&D lab. They had tested thousands of different material formulations. They had tested multiple molding processes on how to bring this technology to the masses. They built this gorgeous prototype that you see here, and quite a few of you have been in. I'll say one of our biggest investors in the last round, he 10x'd his investment after spending a night in the prototype. And he said he woke up feeling better than he's ever felt waking up in his entire life. And he just could not wait to live in one of these. And he made the biggest investment of his life to support GeoShip. Um, Not only that, when I joined the team, there was $40 million in pre-orders, which we have since increased to over $100 million in pre-orders. So today, now, another year and a half later, with less than $5 million invested to date, we've done all that. Plus, we hired a real world-class team. I'm talking best of the best people, which we'll get into a little bit later. We've engineered our go-to-market product. So we took like the prototype, which is really a proof of concept, and then we've engineered that into a fully factory built product, which was an insane amount of work. And we've started down the path of clearing regulatory hurdles and key testing of our materials. And we're in process of that, but we've already validated a lot of our metrics and materials and strength tests to pass some of the key risks in that process. So for a company that's invested less than $5 million to date in its development, we're about to go to market next year in Q1 with a product that has the opportunity to disrupt the multi-trillion-dollar market and the roadmap to get profitable within a year. And that's just crazy. From my experience in like seeing startup after startup after startup, especially huge startups, moonshots, and you look at companies like Tesla and some of these companies, they've invested hundreds of millions of dollars sometimes to get to that point. And we're at that point now with less than $5 million invested. So it's really a remarkable amount of progress. It may have taken the team some time, but we've been very conscious with how much money we've spent, and now we're ready to really scale and like really ramp, and things are ready to start happening really fast. So another component about this product that I think is really amazing is the fact that it's a highly scalable product that can disrupt every segment of home construction in terms of everything from like studios, backyard offices to like an ADU, single family homes, or even a multi-generational multifamily home. And that's because we're making three different size domes, and they can go together in lots of different variations and configurations to create lots of different floor plans. So we are minimizing the number of parts we have to build, but maximizing the number of applications they would have in the marketplace, which allow us to scale this product efficiently after we get to market. Our go-to market strategy is to start right here at home. So rapid local deployment of this product in Northern California. And the main reason that that's important is because we want our engineers, our manufacturing experts to be close to the install so we can see where some of the things that we can improve are on, and we can rapidly fix those, improve them, and then create the next iteration of home. So our go-to market product is going to get iterated on quite a bit next year. And then once we get it to the point where, wow, we've got this product out of like a beta, alpha, beta phase into a fully baked go-to market products, then we're going to start delivering to customers in other areas. And we have some pre-orders from exotic hotels and retreat centers, which we want to deliver to next, because those customers are going to have hundreds of people a year staying in the geoships, which is going to drive more interest and more demand. So they're going to serve as a marketing arm for us, even though they're fully buying the product. And then from there, we start building regenerative development network communities. And this is why we exist as a company. We exist here to create a new way of living, a new way of life where people are living closer to nature, closer to the neighbor, in more connected communities that are growing their own food, that are regenerating the earth. And we're going to start building villages where it's very accessible for people to buy homes in these villages for less than the cost of their rent. And it's, it's to us, it's really going to transform the home ownership experience. And because we have such a low cost of delivering our product, we can start doing things like building communities as a platform. So if you buy a home in one village and then, several years later you get a job and you want to move from, let's say, California to Austin, you can transfer your equity on the platform, just clicking a few buttons on an app, and move your equity into this other community and just see your payment change. So we want to make that whole process super seamless of playing within the geoship network, of owning homes within the geoship network, and get the same benefits of owning and renting in one package. So I think one of the greatest strengths we have in our company is our team. Um, I've worked with like 100 founders in my career, just companies I've invested in, clients I've had, companies I've started and got to know other founders. And Morgan is truly one of the most visionary founders I've ever worked with. And it's really an honor to work with someone who has such a depth of vision and integrity in what he wants to see happen in the world. And to get to see him play in that role that plays to his strengths makes me really lit up that, I've got someone here who can really drive the vision of the future forward. And then I can step in and execute. Um, Boss, my fellow brother from Holland, another co-founder, is just an exceptional designer and our creative redirector. And he's responsible for all of just like the beauty that you feel that really oozes out of every image, of every word, of everything that Geoship puts out. And we just keep making that better and better. Myself, I've mentioned I'm a serial entrepreneur. I don't really like bragging about myself, but I've scaled a few companies. I've had like what I like to call a couple doubles. I've scaled a couple companies to almost $100 million in revenue and over 200 employees. So I've had the experience. I've made a lot of mistakes in my past, and I'm at a point in my career where I've learned what I need to learn to make sure we don't make those same mistakes and that we can take GeoShip to that next level. One of the first people we brought on when I joined the team was Dolly Singh. She was the head of talent at SpaceX from 200 to 5,000 people. And you don't work for one of the, like, they were one of the most talented, like, best companies in the world are recruiting talent. And she got exposed to so much engineering talent to that, literally one of the top 0.1% recruiters that we could potentially work for in this company, work with. And the first person she brought on the board with on board on our team was Craig Derian, our CTO. And Craig was a championship winning NASCAR engineer. He then spent 7 years at Tesla leading chassis development and vehicle dynamics. And you don't survive 7 years at Tesla working under Elon unless you're like just a certified badass. And then he leaves Tesla to apply everything he learned there to revolutionize the world of housing. And he goes and works for one of our competitors, frankly, a company called Cover that has been a leader in the panelized home building space. And he supported them in getting their first how factory built housing certifications and building out their first facilities. And Tesla, or sorry, Craig came on our team, and then he brought other players from the Cover team and from the team, some of which are mentioned here, some of which are not. We have so many remarkable people on our team. We did not have room enough on the slide for all of them. But a couple other people worth mentioning. Sarah, who's on this call, had led Aptera to raising over $100 million of equity crowdfunding through retail investors. And why that's important to us is because it preserves the integrity of our mission, and it supports us in supporting you guys in stewarding great wealth with people that are aligned with similar values that are going to take that wealth and do great things in the world with it. It's very important to our founders and to me and that our team, that the people we're empowering and we're going to be making wealthy with this company we're creating are going to be doing good things in the world with that. And one of the one of the things I'm most proud of in this last year of GeoShip is every single one of our investors that I've met with are valued aligned people that I would love to have dinner with, and I'm just excited to work with. And you don't get that when you go into the traditional venture capital world and institutional investors. And Sarah is supporting us and enabling that, and you guys are supporting us and enabling that by investing in our crowdfunding campaign. Andrew James, our head of manufacturing, before he went to Tesla, he revolutionized the golf club, and he was a product designer. He then went to Tesla and designed the interior for the Model 3 and was a head engineer in that. And then Elon tasked him, even though he had never built a manufacturing facility, he tasked him in building that Tesla's Model 3 General Assembly Line 4, which was the assembly line that got them out of production hell. So he took someone that non-traditional, that hadn't worked in manufacturing, threw him in there. He crushed it for them, and he fell in love with manufacturing engineering. And he's the one building out our pilot production facility and planning out our next facility, which we already have in escrow, and we're already planning our next facility that's going to be 10 times the size of the pilot production facility. We're still working on getting set up. So we're thinking big here. And then Paul Choin, he worked with Craig over at Tesla. He was also a leader at Honda. He worked on a top secret project at Apple that, with the Apple car that, everybody knows about, but Apple doesn't talk about. He then went to go work at Zoox, which was a leader in self-driving, and they got acquired by Amazon. And, he was one of the top like 20 people at that company with over 2,000 people. So these are really experienced, incredible engineers and talented leaders that are building the teams that is going to create the future with this product. So, a lot of you are here to invest, right? And you want to invest in companies that are going to do well successfully. I know that's not the only reason you're here, because people show up to GeoShip because they see that we're on a mission. They see we're going to have a lot of impact in the world in a lot of different ways. But isn't it amazing that we can have all that impact while a company that's going to be incredibly financially successful? This is a very low CapEx business with $30 to $50 million of CapEx. We're creating factories that are producing hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue and potentially even billions of dollars in revenue. And that's pretty insane because other companies are spending billions of dollars to build factories that produce billions of dollars in revenue. So our margin profile, like the amount of money we make every time we sell a home, is so good that we're going to be able to reinvest all the money we're making into getting bigger and bigger so we can deliver more and more affordable homes to the masses and keep lowering our price, keep expanding our reach, keep generating our impact, and keep scaling this company. And I truly believe we could become one of the biggest home builders in this country within 10 to 15 years. And just to kind of wrap your head around that, at less than like 0.03% of the US market, we're at over $200 million in revenue and over $100 million in profit. And that's a like small, little, tiny fraction in the market. I think within 10 to 15 years, we have a realistic chance of getting to like 2% market share, which puts us in a neighborhood of like $100 billion company. And that's the real potential here. We're very, very early, $44 million valuation. If you invest now in our crowdfunding campaign, you get an additional discount on top of that, which, might only be available for a few more days. But just, I could not imagine a better investment and a better time to invest in this company. Just to kind of catch you up on where we're at, we raised the pre-seed round, which a lot of you were involved in, and we're so grateful for that. Then last year we raised the seed round. It was for accredited investors. We didn't have time to get through all the SEC hurdles and the audits and all that before launching the crowdfunding campaign. So I quickly tapped into my network and went out to some events and pulled in the $3 million we needed to get this team hired to build the pilot production facility. And now we're bringing this out to the crowds in our C2, and we're raising $5 million at a $44 million cap. This investment is essential for us to get into pilot production. So we need this 5 million to get over that hump where we're delivering homes to paying customers, where we're installing these homes for customers. We've proven now that we can produce this product. We're looking to increase our pre-orders to $500 million by the time before we raise our Series A. So really show the market that there's a strong demand for this product. And you guys are helping that by pre-ordering this product. You guys, every time you put down $100, $500 on a reservation, that supports us in showing investors that, wow, this person just pre-ordered a $300,000 product and it looks amazing. And that validates our market, and that, we've achieved product market fit as a company. We also believe this round would be enough to just get us to the point where we're break even. We call it default to live, achieving profitability. Not that that's our goal, but it's a very strong place to be when we're going and negotiating a Series A or opening up a Reg A to crowdfunding, to be like, we don't need the money, but we want the money because we want to grow faster. And we'll probably raise one more round, which will be like a $30 to $50 million round at 5 to 10x our valuation right now. And that round will enable us to build a much bigger factory. And then from there, we should be able to grow with our own profits. And that's pretty abnormal for a startup to be able to get on path to being a billion-dollar company without having to raise any more money than Series A. And what that means for you guys, one of the benefits for the investors today, is you're investing at a very low valuation, but we might only have one more round of investment here. So you're not going to have a ton of dilution, where normally if you invest in a company at this stage, there's a Series A round and a Series B round and a Series C round and a Series D round. And it's like lots of dilution between when you invest and IPO. So I truly believe there's no better time to invest in GeoShip. We're raising $5 million at a $44 million cap and offering a 15% discount on the Series A. And all the investors now adopt the same terms as the Series A investors. So it's an amazing time to invest, and we need your support. We'd love your support. We've had a really great start to this crowdfunding campaign. A lot of people jumped in and made investments, and I'm sure there's a lot of people here that already have, and a lot of people that are on the fence and are wondering if I should make that leap. And my ask for you would be to just like make that leap with any level that's like comfortable for you. So if you're debating whether to invest like 5,000 or 10,000, but it just feels like too much, then start with 1,000 or start with 200. 222 is the minimum investment. Like start wherever you feel comfortable and then follow our journey. And if you decide before, as you see the investment round getting closer to close, you want to invest more, you always can. It's really easy with these platforms like WeFunder. So I'll leave it there. I'll close it off and we'll get into some Q&A.